and welcome sa Kalingang Katribo. Unang-una sa lahat, happy anniversary sa Daily Tribune. Congratulations. Ano kaya ang ibig sabihin ng paghihilom or healing? Lahat ba tayo merong trauma? At kung may trauma po tayo, kailan nangyari yon? At anong mga sugat dahil or dulot ng trauma na nasa ating puso, nasa ating kaluluwa? Let's welcome our very special guest today, Baby Kramer. Siya po ay isang lifestyle coach na siyang makakatulong po sa ating lahat. Nang sa ganon, magiging mas masaya po tayo at magiging mas malaya sa ating mga trauma. Hi, baby.
Hello. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Magandang hapon, Cory. And happy anniversary, Daily Tribune.
Baby,
thank you for having me.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. Yung sinasabi nilang trauma, siguro para sa kaalaman ng ating mga katribo, ano ba yung trauma? At ano ang kahulugan ng trauma?
Okay. So, yung malaking subject to, no? So, at least hindi malawak. Super loud. At saka hindi siya simple. May iba't ibang parang levels ng trauma pag pinag-usapan natin, no? Usually, pag trauma, laging pinag-usapan natin, like something could be something physical, may nangyaring aksidente, di ba? May lindol, may gera, at the parang personal level diretso sa'yo, it can be yung mga childhood trauma or even as an adult, yung mga physical abuse, psychological abuse, emotional abuse. So like the word trauma means to wound, no? Sugat, as we had discussed before. So this is basically like a simplified explanation kung ano yung trauma.
Okay. Pag sinasabi nilang sugat, kasi yan ang kahulugan ng salitang trauma, pag sinasabi nilang sugat, anong klaseng sugat yon?
Okay. So kagaya ng sinabi natin, it's at the level, minsan akala natin physical lang. No? So it's very easy to see the trauma pagka physical lang, 'di ba? Yung kung may abusive partner ka, 'di ba, yung babaeng sinasaktan, or kung na-aksidente ka, 'di ba, like that, or natural disasters, so madaling makita yung trauma because of that or even from more. But then the psychological trauma, yung nakatago, yung malalim, yun ang mahirap lagyan ng, how do you say, pagkatao or something, di ba? How do you put shape to it and form to it? Paano siya magiging, parang hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, o ito yon, di ba? Hindi pwedeng madaling sabihin, o ito yon, to pinpoint. No?
So pag sinasabi natin, so merong trauma na, let's say, example, sa VACC, marami kaming mga kaso na domestic violence na nagiging physical, no? Pero meron din yung tinatawag nilang verbal abuse. Di ba? Yung verbal abuse na yun. Let's say, if you're going to compare physical trauma o binugbog ka ng asawa mo, pero yung isa naman, hindi ka binugbog, pero inaabuso ka naman verbally. Pareho ba yung sugat na yun?
At the end of the day, parehas lang eh. Because yung physical abuse, di ba, nangyayari doon, pag natatakot ka na at the level of nagiging intrinsic na, nagiging part ng pagkatao mo eh. Di ba? Yung pagkagalaw mo, hindi mo na alam anong gagawin mo. Whereas yung verbal abuse naman, it's how you look at yourself. Kung sasabihin, tanga ka, gago ka, di ba? Wala kang silbi. Versus yung tinatamaan ka, no? At the end of the day, pag pumasok na yan sa kaluluwa mo, no, yun ang nangyayari. Like, it destroys your soul, no? Yun ang epekto ng whether it's physical or verbal. So, at the end of the day, the damage becomes the same. Alright? The only thing is parang you can think na, kasi kung inaabusakan mo ng asawa, ba't di ka nalang tumakas? Kaya nga hindi makatakas eh. Naging psychological na yung physical abuse. na hindi na alam anong gagawin ng babae, di ba? Talagang sinira na yung that one at the level of yung how do you say, pagkaluluwa mo, no? So it's not as simple kasi yung nga sinasabi ng mga ibang tao, ba't hindi siya tumakas, ba't hindi siya umalis, ba't hindi siya humingi ng tulong? Part of that physical abuse comes with that mind control na you don't know nga kasi tas part of the abuser pag ginagawa nila, di ba, sinaktan ka. Tapos after, mag-apologize yan. Minsan pa nga, over the top yung apology nila. Yung magbibigay ng flowers, o iiyak, sasabihin, wag mo akong iwanan, nagkamali ako, kailangan kita. Diba? So that's why it becomes this cycle. So,
yung cycle na yon, yan siguro ang pinaka-challenge sa profession nyo, di ba? Bilang talk therapist and lifestyle coach. Yung cycle na yon, pwede bang ayusin o arestuhin yung cycle na yan?
Yes, when both partners are willing, because the problem becomes, it's not just the person na nasasaktan ng kailangan mag-therapy. It's actually more also the person who does the abusing. Kasi siya, most likely, sa storya niya, baka nung bata siya, yung ginagawa rin sa kanya. Diba? So yung iba sinasabi, oh, you're just making excuses. Yung binibigyan mo ng dahilan kung bakit sila ganon. But that's not true because you also have to look at that person, di ba? Anong nangyari doon? Anong nangyari sa kanya? Kaya a lot of times, yung mga biktima ng abusive partners, doon nagsistart eh. Sasabihin usually, di ba? Usually it's men naman yung abusers, no? But there are cases of it's also the women who are abusive verbally and sometimes also physically. So the abuser, when this other person meets them, they think, oh, I can help that person. I'm going to be the one to change that person. That happens sometimes. Minsan hindi. Minsan it starts beautiful. Ganda ng relasyon, di ba? Tapos bigla na lang, isang araw, sampal. Sunod na araw, 2 sampal. Pangatlong araw, 4. Tapos di ba, like, nag-escalate. Yung mga iba naman, nakikita na nila may problema. So akala nila, ako ang magiging dahilan ng kanyang pagbabago. Ako ang magiging kanyang hope. So then it becomes this relationship nga of partly codependency and partly that messianic tendency of that other person na kaya niyang palitan yung pagkatao ng isa. So then that cycle keeps going and keeps going. Diba? So it's like I said, it's very complicated kasi walang parang, di ba, you can't say trauma is okay. One is just physical, one is just verbal, nag-overlap lahat yan eh. Nagiging, di ba, magulo, and even in terms of yung relasyon sa ibang tao, yung past mo, yung future mo, di ba, it all becomes too complicated. That's why even in the process of the therapy, it's also changing. Madami ng ibang approaches towards trauma therapy.
Paano naman sa isang pamilya? Kung merong trauma na sa isang pamilya, merong family trauma, di ba?
Yes.
Mas mahirap ba yun ayusin? Ang problemang may trauma sa loob ng isang pamilya kesa sa isang tao lamang or individually individual therapy with you, healing sessions with you.
Okay. In the individual level, of course, it's easier, diba? Kasi isa lang kinakausap mo. But even like I said, any individual therapeutic process, pag hindi on board yung buong pamilya o yung partner mo, mahirap eh. Diba? Kasi lahat, everything gets affected. Now, when you're trying to counsel na the whole family as a group, no, yung minsan ang mahirap doon, okay, yung sinasabi ko, 4 kayong magkakapatid. So sasabihin nung 3, yung isa na nagsasabi, oh, nung bata ko, lagi ako sinasaktan ni nanay, ni tatay. Tapos yung 3 naman sasabihin nila, wala naman nangyari sa amin iniimbento mo lang yon. Then that becomes hard. Kasi it's not true that when children are abused, that lahat sila, sometimes it's just one. Or sometimes it's the eldest. Not because it's abuse, but just that whole thing of when we tell the eldest, ikaw yung panganay, ikaw dapat ganito, that also is a form of trauma on that child, di ba? Porket panganay ka, ikaw ngayon ang dapat lahat, di ba? Santo ka na, ikaw pang mag-aalaga, all of these things. So we have those situations. No? But in terms of even the abuse, not all children get the abuse. Sometimes there's just one, sometimes there's 2. So like we say, 4 kayong magkapatid, 4 na storya, maririnig ko. No? It's not all the same. Yung mga memories mo nung bata kayo, iba-iba. Di ba? Like some will say, oh, ano naman si mami? Yung isa naman sasabihin, ako, baka ano ni mami, di ba? So iba-ibang kwento yon. So that's a difficulty in that process kasi hindi sang-ayon silang lahat sa version ng isa sa isa.
Ayan. Okay. Alam ko na meron kayong mga slides to share with us. You have slides today?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Asan yung first slide?
So short clip.
Ay, wala daw slide.
Received it. What happened?
Nasa email?
Yes.
Pinadala? Hindi. Hinahanap pa. Habang hinahanap itong pag-uusapan natin,
Okay.
sa lahat ng mga kaso nyo, at alam ko marami ang mga kasong hinahawak nyo ngayon, para sa inyo, anong pinaka-challenging? Okay, ito ay sasagutin ni Baby Kramer sa aming pagbabalik. Huwag po kayong aalis.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ang bayan, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga parties, may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers, still don't remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all.
Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
Manong Joe po,
At Ate Maita,
ngayong Hunyo, bahagyang tumaas ng 8 centavos per kilowatt hour ang overall electricity rates. Ito'y dahil sa dagdag singil sa WESM.
alam niyo ba, pwede kayong i-update na Meralco sa text or sa email gaya ni Sarah G. Sisendan kayo ng advanced updates tulad ng upcoming bill details. Di na kayo kakaba-kaba sa paghihintay ng bills. At anumang mangyari sa bill, masira, mabasa, o mawala, no problem. To get updates, i-update ang inyong contact information sa Facebook Messenger, meralco.com.ph, email, hotline 16211 o Meralco Business Centers.
Handa kami makipag-ugnayan sa inyo para makapaghatid ng mas mabuti, mabilis, at pagkinahawang serbisyo.
Hanggang sa susunod na
Meralco Advisory.
Welcome back mga katribo. Healing from trauma. May paghihilom ba? May pag-asa ba tayong lahat? Kasi po lahat tayo, lahat. Walang exception po, lahat tayo merong karga. Sabi lang, may karga na ano? Ano yun? Yung emotional or mental or spiritual trauma or even physical trauma na kailangan ng paghihilom. Nang sa ganon, magiging mas buo ang ating pagkatao. Okay, let's go to Baby Kramer. Baby will help us understand ourselves better.
We
Okay, let's look at the first video. Ito po ay bahagi ng wellness. Ha?
Trauma is, of course, something that goes on in the brain, but it also
Walang
goes on
sound.
in the body. Our body goes through a number of specific reactions to meet that threat. We duck, we dodge, we stiffen, we retract, we prepare to fight or to flee, or we collapse into helplessness. These things are meant to be temporary. However, humans get stuck very often because they're not aware of what their body has done to respond to that threat. So they remain in that position. And when the body is in that position, basically it tells the brain, it tells the mind that there's danger. My approach to treating trauma is to take these experiences, these stucknesses, these memories, one small bit at a time, so the person can release them and then to allow the body to restore itself.
Ang ganda nun.
Okay.
Napakaganda. You have to release them one by one. So lahat tayo may stuckness. Sinasabi
That's why I chose this one. Gusto kong ipakita yung video na yun. Kasi ngayon, hindi man bagong theory to. Di ba alam mo noon, di ba sinasabi nila pag stress ka o galit ka, di ba sumigaw ka o pumunta ka sa gym, you punch the bag, di ba? Mag-boxing kayo o kunin mo yung unan tapos dun ka umiyak, di ba? And then sa mga sinehan, nakikita mo, pupunta siya sa therapy, tapos iiyak ng iiyak, di ba? So the cathartic moment.
When a person
So these are not new theories. Diba noon pa to na sinasabi, kailangan mong i-release versus pag stress ka, you have to count and you have to stay calm. So nangyayari, diba, it comes back in. Now, can you imagine if that's trauma? Like as a child, diba, pinapagalitan ka, hindi pwede magtakas. Diba, sinasampal ka ng asawa mo, hindi ka pwede magtakas. So ngayon, nandun yung lahat. It's all internalized. Kaya not lahat, madaming tao ngayon, sinasabi nga nila, all of this mga chronic pain, di ba? Yung fibromyalgia even, sinasabi nila is related to that. Yung gastro problems, di ba? They say it's related to stress, di ba? Even like mental illnesses that develop, and it's because nga your body has not been allowed to perform what it should. Since, di ba, yung ating forefathers, di ba, yung nasa cave pa, yung mga cavemen, pag may predator, tatakbo ka, diba? So, na-release mo lahat ng tension. Kung hindi, kakainin ka. So, what happens ngayon when it's modern day and it's domestic violence? How do you run away? How do you complete that cycle that your body was supposed to able to? No? From adrenaline rush to calming down and recovering. So, dun nga daw nangyayari. Kaya, we have all of this neck pain. Diba? We all say that, I'm stressed. Sumasakit dito. Diba? Pag palagi kang galit, after a while, your blood pressure, it's normal. We have physiological responses to all of these things. So yung sinasabi nga nila, hindi na continue ng katawan mo yung cycle, kaya tuloy, yun ang nangyayari. So the trauma is not just yung nangyari, yung naganap. Yung trauma rin is paano napaprocess ng katawan mo yung na-experience niya. So it gets stuck in there, and as it gets stuck and gets stuck and gets stuck, it can develop into your mental illness also, and emotional stress.
So, sinasabi nyo, kung may trauma ang isang tao na konektado sa ating mga emosyon o yung mga memories natin, nung noon pa na hindi natin alam, na biglang lumilitaw na habang tumatanda ka.
Yes.
Bakit ganun? May mga ibang tao minsan, may biglang lilitaw na memory na, uy, ganun pala, inabuso ako nung maliit ako. Uy, ganun pala, sinisigawan ako ng nanay ko. Bakit ngayon ko lang natandaan?
Yep.
How is it that there are memories? Oo.
Okay, di ba
Ano yun, nailibing ng...
Yes, because sometimes to survive that event, ang ginagawa mo, dinalagay mo sa likod ng pinag-iisipan mo. Like they say, di ba, a lot of people na nakikita rin sa mga stories sa sinehan, di ba, na inaabuso siya. So paglaki niya, nagkakaroon ng madaming personalities. Di ba? What was that recent one? He even had the personality that was like a monster that defended him. Di ba? Then the little boy that was abused never developed. Laging nakatago doon. So these other characters na nag-develop, parang nagiging mga superhero niya na para tulungan siya kasi hindi niya kaya. So what happens is the brain is the one that helps you so that you don't go crazy. The brain shuts everything down and creates this other personas, no? Para tulungan ka. Kagaya ng sinasabi nila, a lot of yung traffic children, sila mismo, tinuturuan sila ng mas matandang children na traffic. Pag inaabuso daw sila, tinuturuan sila, pumunta ka sa ibang lugar. Like, imagine someplace else para hindi mo how do you say, you're not going to feel what's being done to your body.
Hindi mo mararamdaman.
Hindi mo mararamdaman anong ginagawa sa'yo. So yung pag-iisip mo, pupunta somewhere else. So can you imagine, over time, to protect yourself, that gets buried. So when you're older, di ba, you're always angry, you're always outraged, or yun, nagsasaktan ka rin ng mga tao. Tapos yun pala. When you're in a relaxed state, or when it's actually in therapy na minsan kasi pag talk therapy, pag magaling ka, matalino ka, ang madaling madaling takpan, 'di ba? Yung kasi ayaw mo rin madala sa forefront lahat ng kasi masakit, right? So to be
nakikita mo 'yan. Nakikita mo 'yan kaagad, no?
Yes. Yeah. So you can see it. So that's why the new what I'm personally moving towards to, no, is that's why they're calling it somatic therapy, the body. So because when you let the person lie down, diba yung old style when they show therapy, nakahiga sa couch. Kasi lying down, you're getting relaxed, you can't really be defensive. So when you're doing the somatic movements on the ground where they have you lying down, then they have you move very slowly. Concentrate on breath. That's why nga, diba, ngayon, meditation, yoga, all of this, they use this. But like I said before, there is very specific yoga for trauma. Okay, just because your therapist or the psychiatrist said go take yoga, and there's a big whole history of trauma in you. It's not just yung pupunta ka sa yoga studio and you'll take any yoga class. The yoga for trauma-informed yoga is a very long training. It's actually 800 hours. There's a very good school called Wisdom School, one of the best. It's an 800-hour training. Usually a yoga teacher only has 200 hours training. Okay, so yoga, trauma-informed yoga is different from yoga in the studio. Okay, I want to make that very clear. All right, because you have to study part of the trauma psychology, you have to study the whole physical anatomy, how the nervous system reacts. Madami yun. So hindi lang yung simpleng, okay, we're going to do a 3 pose, breathe. Okay, hindi lang yun. So, yeah.
Poses. Pero meron kayong ganong klaseng yoga dito?
As far as I know, no. There are people who've taken certain courses. So like even I myself, I've only done children. I've only finished my segment for yoga and meditation for children and trauma-informed movement for children. So they don't just call it yoga, it's also movement. Okay, so yeah. So and then next one I'm going to be doing is for those with clinical conditions. So yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yung mga therapy sessions sa inyo, baby, what are they? What's available now para sa mga gustong magpakonsulta sa inyo?
Okay. For me, what I do is somatic movement. So not just the yoga, but actual somatic movement. So yung movement yan yun. Hindi natin pag-usapan yung problema. What I want you to do is feel your body, feel all the emotions that come out. So that's the process. So it's experiential. Hindi yun puro talk lang. It's like to experience what's happening. And very important also for me is the family therapy aspect. So that is very key. The family has to be on board. If not, change is how it changes.
Mga tips galing kay Baby Kramer. Huwag po kayong aalis.
Click, that's it. Never thought self-service can be this slick. Modify plans in a snap. Walang hirap, it's a wrap. Just tap the app. Now you can check, view, subscribe, renew. Help and support for you. Out with the ring apps are the in thing. You know what to do. Globe at home and Globe One. All in the Globe app na yan. Self-service and easy to use. Mas okay tayo dyan. Globe at home and Globe One. All in the Globe app na yan. Instant response, no hold time pa, wala nang hintayan. Download Globe at home and Globe One app, all in the Globe app na yan. Download
Download the Globe One and Globe at Home apps from Google Play Store and Apple App Store now. Download Globe at Home and Globe One app all in the Globe app na yan.
Hatch something big. The all-new Honda City hatchback with 4 seating modes. Utility mode, long mode, tall mode, refresh mode. The all-new City hatchback. Hatch more life.
Fiber is the free and secure way to connect with friends and family anywhere. Send messages and make phone and video calls for free. Download Viber now.
Katribo, healing from trauma, lahat po tayo dapat sama-sama sa paghihilom ng ating sarili. At kung lahat tayo ay mag-uumpisa na sa paghihilom, bakit hindi kaya ang buong Pilipinas? So, ayan, napakalaki ang ating layunin, napakamalawak, pero we can start one by one. Ayan. So, baby, yung mga, alam ko meron pang video. Do you want us to watch some more na makakatulong sa atin?
Fourth video.
When a person has experienced trauma, almost nothing feels safe. And when someone doesn't feel safe, no amount of talk can convince them otherwise. Because trauma is something that happens deep in the core of our brain and body. So how can we work with both the brain and the body to help patients feel safe, particularly when they're not in your office? In the next few minutes, Dr. Peter Levine is going to demonstrate 2 techniques that patients can use to self-soothe and self-regulate. And what's especially useful about these techniques is that you can give them to your patients to use whenever and wherever they are. Let's hear from Peter.
When a person's feeling traumatized, is traumatized, nothing feels safe. Almost nothing feels safe. And as therapists, what we want to do is to be able to convey, at least in the smallest amount, an island of safety. That there is a way that you can feel safe, that something has happened to you, you survived it. Now we're going to go back up and pick up some of those pieces that you left behind so you can be whole again. The other thing that's important in trauma therapy is that as soon as possible, that the therapists also provide tools, help the client learn tools that they can use to help them feel relatively safe. Because if the only place they feel safe is with you, the therapist, then when they leave and then they start feeling, horrible again, terrified, helpless, then sometimes, very frequently actually, they'll kind of shame themselves, what Fritz Perls called the top dog, because you're not able to, they're more dependent, they're completely dependent on the therapist. And so if we can give them even the smallest tools for self-soothing, for self-regulation, and I mentioned a number of them, I demonstrated a number of these with a client. This is, I don't know if you can see this, let me maybe move back a little bit, or something like that. Okay, I'm gonna get up on my haunches here. Okay. Here, you take your right hand and you put it here on your left arm on the side of the heart. Yeah, got it. And the other hand on the shoulder. And just to get a feeling, Ruth and everybody else who's watching, what this feels like, what the sensation is like, not just of your hands, but of what's going on inside of your body. Most people report a settling. What this does, I believe, is it helps us become aware of our container. See, we'll probably get into this a little bit more. The body is the container of all of our sensations and all of our feelings. It's all in the body. And this is the container of the body is the kind of the outside of our body, our shoulders, our the sides of our thorax, and so forth. And when the person can feel the container, then the emotions and the sensations do not feel as overwhelming because they're being contained. Another very simple thing people can do, usually I suggest they do this one first. The second one is just putting a hand on their forehead and the other hand on their upper chest. And just to wait, they can do this with their eyes open or closed, whatever they feel more comfortable with. A lot of people like to do it with their eyes closed, others don't feel safe enough. To just feel what goes on between the hands. Sometimes they'll feel like an energy flow or a change in temperature or a feeling. And I just ask them just to keep their hands there. It could be just a few moments, it could be 5 or 10 minutes, until they feel some kind of a shift. And then to take the upper hand here, keep the lower hand on the chest, and then put this hand on the belly. And again, just wait until there's some shift, till there's some flow. And sometimes people, if they're unable to sleep or they're afraid they're going to have nightmares, if they do simple things like that, they fall into sleep much better, and often the dreams are much more useful dreams. There are other techniques,
Ayun, napakaganda. Ay, actually, sinabi niya, aantukin ka. Actually, nung nilagay ko yung kamay ko dito at saka dito sa puso, after a while, naku, ano ba yan? Inaantok na ako.
Because
Actually,
you're being gentle with yourself, diba? You're being gentle with yourself. So,
pagkatapos, ilagay naman sa tiyan natin. Bakit? Kaya nagtataka po kayo, bakit meron kayong acid reflux, may indigestion, may mga gas pain. Ayan, ano kaya? May connection ba yan sa ating emosyon? Ito pong episode na ito ay para sa ating lahat. So baby, give us some tips before we say bye-bye. Overtime na yata tayo, pero it's so informative. Give us just a few more tips. Meron po tayong fact or fiction. If it's all right with you, can we go with before you give your tips for living well? Okay, let's do the fact or fiction. Ito, talking over what you're going through with others who've had the same experience or are still going through it can be helpful after a trauma. Yan, fact or fiction, baby?
So it's fact. Which is why even ngayon may trend ngayon for group therapy. Kasi nang nagkakaintindi kayo, magkaka-share kayo ng experiences. But that's why it's one of the resources that we call it's needed by person is your support group.
Correct.
And those who experience the same thing, you can
support groups. Do you do also group therapy? Yeah, like sharing?
Grief therapy, yes. Grief therapy group is one of the best modalities. Yeah, and trauma I have not done yet in group because most people, it takes a certain level na ready rin sila mag-share sa isa't isa, no? Especially I think sa culture natin, especially pag may mga big incidents, ayaw nilang malaman ng iba. So yeah, group therapy here is still a little difficult.
So para sa mga taong willing naman sila sumali sa isang group therapy, does it mean they're on their way to healing?
If
they're ready to end the group.
Yeah. Healing in itself, because depends what the person also means by healing. Diba? Kasi yung iba, kagaya ng sugat, nakikita mo, no? Pag may sugat, nagsasara, nawawala. With trauma, with emotional pains, with mental conditions, one, hindi mo nakikita no, na nagsasara yung sugat. Secondly, minsan hindi sasara yung sugat na yan. Okay. So part of that is acceptance na ito yung nangyari sa buhay mo. Ngayon, ang nangyayari is, will you allow it na masisiraan ka ng ulo, no, to just give a statement? Or are you going to try to move forward with life and have a productive life? But with acknowledgement na yung yung ano na yun, yung trauma na yun, yung pain na yun, yung sugat na yun, lagi nandyan. Because that's also one of the aspects you have to consider, that what does healing mean, diba? What does healing mean for you? So if you think that if you're going to go in group yun, mawawala lahat, that's trying to forget the past. Iba yun. Diba? It's trying to think na, let's not think about it. Kung hindi ko siya pag-iisipan, kung pinag-usapan na natin, di dapat nawala na yan. Kasi yung mga iba sasabihin na, nag-therapy na ako, ilang taon na, ba't hanggang ngayon umiyak pa rin ako, masakit pa rin. Because sometimes yung sakit na yung sugat na yun will remain with you for the rest of your life. But, so it's not that simple.
Okay. Next, fact or fiction. Ito, recovery from trauma, ito nga ang pinag-usapan natin, involves the ability to successfully live in the present without being overwhelmed by thoughts and feelings from the past.
That's why what he said, no? So si Dr. Peter Levine is the one who started somatic experiencing. 78-year-old na yan. Hanggang ngayon, nagpa-practice pa yan. So this is the thing. When those memories come up, is it going to trigger you na yon to be either angry and, be destructive, or to drugs to the point of destruction? Or can the thoughts come up that you can sit there with it and breathe through it? And then, diba, that's a cliche. Like, lagi lang sinasabi, diba? Breathe. But it really is true. When you can move with it, when it's there, when that memory is there, and you're able to calm yourself down, diba? You're able to calm yourself down. You're not denying. Hindi natin pinagsasabi na wag mong pag-isipan o diba? Yun nga problema, diba? That's where it started. Hindi mo pinag-isipan. You're trying to bury it. This one is let it move, but be able to deal with it. Be able to accept how it moves through you and accept that pain, diba? So.
Next slide.
Okay,
a drink to burn on sleep or to take off the edge is one way some choose to go through the stress of a traumatic event. Yung mga happy hour na yan. Fact or fiction?
Well, it's a fact that people do it, diba? So it's the same thing with, that's how drug addiction starts, about let me just start something, then it feels good. So it is a fact that people do it. Now, is it a good idea? There are those who, that's a different story na. So we'll not get into that. But there are two schools of thought with those who say, if it helps you get through something without being destructive, diba? So, but people do use alcohol. Yun nga, sasabihin niya, I need to relax, let me have my glass of, whiskey. So,
totoo.
Yeah. So,
meron akong mga kaibigan. Okay, next. I think that's it.
Okay, that is it.
Ayun, last na. While it is important to take an active role in your healing process, it is equally important to recognize when you need professional help.
There. Yeah.
Fact or fiction?
That's a fact, yeah. So, when you know na hindi mo na kayang mag-isa, hindi kaya rin na tatawagin mo lang best friend mo, nanay mo, parents mo, sister mo, sometimes after a while, hindi rin nila kaya, hindi rin nila naiintindihan kung anong nangyayari sa'yo. So you have to sometimes really purposefully look for professional help. A lot of people, who are very in touch with themselves, so that's why they start to get into yoga and meditation, and they find peace and they find healing without the need of a professional. But I think the important part there's a mentor, there's a guide, and sometimes it's as simple as communication in the family, communicating with the partner. Diba? Kasi madami rin, you enter in a relationship, nahihiya ka rin na sabihin mo lahat sa partner mo, diba? Ang dami mong tinatago. But that's part of it too. When you open up and let people help you, when you allow support. So ang tawag namin doon resources, when you allow to build resources. So building resources includes other people, not just therapy. So, but yes.
Yeah.
Kasi noon, di ba, yung may stigma kasi noon ang pupupunta kang psychiatrist or psychologist. At least nowadays, hindi na. No? People are more open about going to. Yeah. Especially the younger generation now. Sorry.
Nagiging
yes. Now it's even fashionable now. Di ba? Sinong therapist mo? Di ba? So even you see it now sa movies. Di ba? So, yeah, it's more common, it's acceptable, it's no longer isang bagay na kailangan mong kahihiyan, So Yeah. It's
Kahihiyan.
yeah.
Kasi lalo na ngayon for mental health, people are very open now.
Yes.
Sinasabi nila, sinashare nila sa publiko kung meron silang struggles. Sinashare nila yan. At I like that people are now sharing, wala nang stigma.
Yes. And I think that's been important, no? Na even mga actors, celebrities, lumalabas na rin sila, pinag-usapan nila yung pinagdaanan nila, paano nag-iba yung buhay nila, anong mga ginawa nila. So, diba? And part of this, ba, mga even spiritual retreats, those things are important. They can help you. For some, they don't believe in it, but it has some significance rin. Diba? So, all of these things.
Very
good. Yeah.
So, do you still have another fact of fiction? Kung wala na, let's move on to your lifestyle tips naman.
Okay.
For our katribo, what can you share with us in terms of emotional healing?
I think first is ang importante na you're able to recognize yung itsura at pakiramdam ng trauma, no? So starting with naghang ka, Cory. Sorry. Are we hanging? Can you hear me? Not sure. So when we start from the physical, so like what I said, no, kailangan na alam nyo yung itsura o pakiramdam ng trauma. So starting from yung physical, pag nakikita mo na nahihirapan kang matulog o manatiling matulog, may mga bangungot, or what do they call it, nightmares, no, yung nakababalisang panaginip. So this way also pwede mong, you can look at your family members, no? Pag nakikita mo na nangyari to sa mga ka-member mo ng pamilya mo, yung ninenervyos ka, madaling magulat, nahihirapang mag-focus, hypervigilance rin, yung laging alerto, yung di ba yung may mga tao na baka may mangyayari. So that's also a sign, hypervigilance. And then yung isa yung hindi ka konektado sa sarili mong damdamin, yung katawan, kapaligiran. When you see that one, no? When you notice maybe your child, something's off, no? Like they're not, walang affect. Yung muling nagbabalik yung yung hindi ka nais-nais na kaisipan. And you have to also watch out, even if they're just joking about like suicide, especially the younger people, that's also a sign. So I think first it's important yon na alam nyo yung itsura at pakiramdam ng trauma. And then from there, you have to watch out also about the triggers. And so you learn to avoid them. So this is the lifestyle thing. No? So if you already know that you nagagalit ka kaagad sa anak mo, konting lang. So alam mo na yan. So bago pa mangyari, you already start to refocus, you start to calm yourself down. You be aware of your own personal triggers. So this is the whole point. This is the whole point even of therapy and healing. You have to be aware of where it came from, what triggers it, no? Especially when you have behaviors na hindi ka nais-nais, yun, nagsasaktan ka ng tao. So then you can move forward to that next step.
Ayun. Baby, yung contact numbers nyo para sa mga gustong magpakonsulta? You still have time to take in more clients and patients?
We're always willing to talk when people need, somebody to talk to. Sometimes it just takes, one conversation. No? Sometimes yun lang kailangan na alam mo may taong nakikinggan, how do you say it? Like talagang pinakikinggan ka. Right?
Wow. Alam ko pinaulakan nyo.
Hindi lang nakikinggan ka.
Oo. Napakahalaga yung oras nyo. I feel like I'm taking away time from your clients. So, contact numbers na lang, baby.
Yeah. So it's 0920-970-4685.
Baby Kramer for our lifestyle coach, wellness lifestyle coach for emotional and mental and spiritual health. 0920-970-4685 ba yun? Right. So maraming salamat sa inyo, Baby Kramer. God bless you. Thank you for all the good work that you do. Namaste.
Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat, Daily Tribune. Happy anniversary again. No. Thank you.
Thank you, baby. God bless. Ayan po mga katribo ang ating healing from trauma. Ang good news po ay kaya po nating lahat na maging mas buo, mas matatag sa puso at sa ating kaisipan. God bless you. See you next week. Muli sa Kalingang Katribo. Ito po, Cory Quirino.